I pull into the curved shell driveway of my beach house, the tires crunching across the familiar surface, and at once I sense something is off. For unfamiliar vehicles are crammed into the space where usually only my reliable Subaru sits. My stomach knots as I park awkwardly behind them. This was supposed to be my quiet Friday escape. All week at Coastal Florida Bank, as I sorted through mortgage applications, I clung to the image of my porch swing, a paperback novel, and the sound of waves carrying from the shore. That thought alone kept me steady. Now, stepping out into the salty breeze, I catch voices, too many of them, coming from the backyard. The gate is open, and through it I glimpse something that makes my pace quicken. A wedding arch? I round the corner, and the sight freezes me. My lawn, once carefully tended, has been remade into a wedding venue. White folding chairs line up neatly on both sides of an aisle. A giant tent towers over one corner, and strangers hurry about, arranging flowers and stringing lights across my porch railings. And in the center of it all stands my sister Lila, clipboard in hand, instructing a man on a ladder to weave lights through the branches of my grandmother's oak tree. Her voice carries with that tone of authority she perfected in childhood. She insists the twinkle lights must curve through the branches so she and Adrian can have the perfect glow for their first dance. I remain still, unseen, as Lila turns her attention to a woman working on a display of white roses. She tells her the centerpieces must be raised higher for more dramatic effect, and demands confirmation that the caterer called back about the seafood option. My head spins. Caterer? First dance? Lila had been dating Adrian for only 8 months. I had never heard a word about an engagement, much less a wedding being staged at my house. Finally, I force myself forward. The garden stones are cool beneath my feet as Lila's gaze locks with mine. For an instant, I see guilt flicker before her face brightens into a radiant smile. "Arden, this is perfect timing," she calls, waving me over as if I were another vendor. "We need your input on the seating chart." My voice struggles to form. What exactly is happening here? Lila doesn't flinch. "Didn't our mother tell you? We are finalizing the wedding details. The ceremony is next Saturday. You came just in time to help with place settings." My eyes sweep over the transformed property, the retreat I fought so hard to claim. I had worked double shifts for 5 years, skipped dinners, lived on budget lunches, and saved until the down payment finally became possible. "You are having your wedding here? At my house?" The words come out tight and strained. A woman in a sleek blazer approaches, extending her hand with a polished smile. "You must be the generous sister I've heard so much about. I am Camille, the wedding planner. This venue is absolutely perfect for what Lila and Adrian wanted." I shake her hand automatically, though my thoughts whirl. Generous sister? Venue? My gaze falls on a table covered in cream-colored envelopes. I open one and pull out an embossed invitation. The words blur, then sharpen. "Joyfully invite you to celebrate their marriage at the Whitaker Beach House, number 219 Pelican Way, Sandpiper Beach, Florida." The memory returns with sharpness. Standing here 5 years ago, holding the keys, pride rushing through me as the realtor congratulated me. Months of saving, endless overtime, and the promotion I clawed my way toward had brought me this piece of paradise. But my mother's voice had cut across my joy. "Such a waste for only one person, don't you think? The family could have bought something together for everyone's use." And Lila, champagne in hand, had chimed in eagerly. "This will be perfect for family weekends. I can't wait to bring my friends down." Even then, despite my name being the only one on the deed, I felt the house slipping from me. Since then, the erosion had been constant. Parents arriving with uninvited guests. Lila borrowing it for her getaways. The emergency key multiplying until it seemed everyone had access. Messes left for me, belongings moved around, my reminders brushed aside with the same refrain: "We are family, there is no need for formalities." Camille's voice pulled me back. "Lila said you were thrilled to host. We have been working on the details for months." Months. They had plotted this for months without me. Something shifted inside. After a lifetime of being the dependable one, the one who smoothed conflicts, the one who gave up comfort for family harmony, this was how they rewarded me. For a heartbeat, I imagined tearing everything down, screaming until they fled. But instead, a strange calm washed over me. "Excuse me," I murmured, turning toward my car. "Arden?" Lila's voice followed, sharp with disbelief. "Where are you going?" "We need your help with the seating chart." I kept walking, my car keys pressed hard into my palm. "Arden, do not make this harder," she called after me, her tone rising. "You have obligations to this family, and we expect you to respect them." The word lingers in my head as I sink into the driver's seat. Obligations. Always mine to them, never theirs to me. As I back out, Lila's frustrated face flashes in my rearview mirror. For the first time in years, the heavy blanket of guilt doesn't smother me. Instead, something new pushes in: determination. I drive aimlessly for nearly an hour, my grip still locked tight around the steering wheel, knuckles pale from the strain. The invasion of my beach sanctuary replays in my mind like a nightmare stuck on repeat. When I finally reach my apartment, I toss my purse onto the counter and collapse onto the sofa, my chest heavy. The phone vibrates again and again. 3 missed calls from Lila, 2 from my mother, and a blunt text from my father that reads, "Call your mother." I ignore them all, opening my laptop instead. I type Lila Whitaker wedding into the search bar, and my stomach twists as results flood in. The first hit is a Pinterest board, Beach House Dream Wedding, created 8 months ago. 8 months of planning, all without telling me. I click through to her Instagram. A post from 3 weeks back shows Lila and Adrian clinking champagne glasses on my porch, the caption reading, "Final venue walkthrough at my amazing sister's beach house. Can't wait for our 150 guests to enjoy this paradise." 3-day celebration. Blessed bride. Generous sister. Beneath, relatives have left comments, "So wonderful of Arden to donate her beautiful home." What a selfless sister you have. Donate? I never donated anything. My temples pound. A new notification slides across the screen, a private message from Adrian. "Arden, I am sorry about this. I told Lila we should have asked you properly. This was not my idea." I stare at his words, unable to decide how to respond before my phone buzzes again. "Mom?" I answer tightly. "There you are," her voice snaps. "What were you thinking, driving away like that?" Lila is beside herself. "The wedding planner needs your input." I cut her off. "Did you know Lila was planning her entire wedding at my house without ever asking me?" There's a pause before she replies casually, "Of course I knew. We all did. You hardly use that place anyway." Her words fade into the background as I scroll through old texts. One from my mother to my father leaps out. "Arden will not mind about the wedding. She never uses the house. Lila needs this." His reply, "Should we at least tell Arden?" My mother's response, "Better not. She might overthink it." Lila says it is easier to ask forgiveness than permission. The date stamp shows this was 4 months ago. "Are you even listening to me?" my mother demands, pulling me back. "I have to go," I mutter, hanging up. For the next hour, I dig deeper. I find a family group chat I was never invited to, dozens of messages planning the wedding at my place. Cousins talking about carpooling, aunts debating how many extra chairs to bring. Every word assumes my cheerful agreement. I pull my deed from the filing cabinet, smoothing it with shaking hands. Arden Elise Whitaker, sole owner. Every mortgage statement drawn from my account alone. Every utility bill, every insurance payment, every repair covered by my savings. The truth hits with crystal clarity. This isn't only about a house. It's about respect. I search Florida trespassing laws and liability for unauthorized events. I calculate utility costs for 150 guests over 3 days, potential property damage, even the risk of lawsuits if someone is injured. The totals rise quickly. My phone rings again. Tessa, my best friend since college. "Your sister's wedding," she says the moment I answer. "I just got the invitation." "Since when are you hosting?" I explain everything, my voice growing steadier with each fact. "Arden," Tessa says firmly, "you are not wrong for being upset. This is outrageous." "What will you do?" "I don't know yet," I admit, but I refuse to keep being a doormat. The next day at work, Owen, my coworker, notices my distraction. Over lunch, I give him a brief version. He nods knowingly. Let me guess, he says. They crossed a boundary and expect you to smile and accept it? I blink in surprise. How did you know? Because I lived it, he explains. My brother used to take my car without asking. It didn't stop until I changed the locks at home where I kept the keys. Stand firm, Arden. Family often ignores boundaries because they think forgiveness is automatic. That afternoon, another message arrives, this time from my neighbor near the beach house. Lots of people coming and going from your property lately. Is everything okay? The last piece of the puzzle clicks into place. I leave work early, drive to the beach house, and watch from across the street. Lila is directing florists, pointing them toward the porch. My porch. My sanctuary. At the hardware store, I buy new locks and a set of security cameras. The locksmith arrives just after Lila leaves, and by sunset my property is secured again. Back at my apartment, I compose a blunt email addressed to the entire family. Subject line, Beach House Access. The message is simple, effective immediately. Anyone wishing to visit my property at number 219 Pelican Way must contact me directly for permission and arrangements. For security reasons, the locks have been changed. I press send, then mute my phone as it lights up. Within minutes, replies pour in. My mother, don't be ridiculous. We are family. Where's the spare key? My father, call your mother, she is upset. Lila leaves a voicemail, her voice shaking with fury. How could you be so selfish right before my wedding? You are ruining everything. I have been planning this for months. I send a single response. This is my property, purchased with my money. No one enters without my permission. Then I silence every notification and turn back to my laptop. A local tourism article catches my eye. Sandpiper Beach Tour Company seeking rental properties for exclusive guests. I click through to their site, looking for unique homes to showcase to high-end clientele. My fingers hover over the contact form. For the first time in days, calm seeps into me. I download their rental agreement, reading each clause carefully, already picturing the solution taking shape. 3 hours later, I have built a full plan, complete with contingencies for every reaction my family might try. I have documented the current state of the house, researched fair market rental rates, and drawn up a contract that shields me from every risk. When I sign the rental agreement with Sandpiper Beach Tour Company, I know exactly what the moment means. It is the point of no return. And I feel not even the faintest regret. 2 days later, my phone vibrates for the 17th time that morning. I know the count because I have been keeping track. Each buzz sends a faint tremor through the wooden desk at Coastal Florida Bank, where I have been struggling with the same mortgage application for nearly an hour. Lila's name glows on the screen again, the preview of her message beginning with, "You're being completely ridiculous." I flip the phone over and let it buzz unanswered. 3 more vibrations arrive in quick succession, muted thuds like angry wasps against the desk. Trouble at home? Owen asks from the next cubicle, peering over the partition with a furrowed brow. My family just discovered that boundaries actually exist, I reply, surprised at how steady my voice sounds. They're not reacting well. The elevator chimes, pulling my attention to the bank's main floor. My stomach tightens. My mother marches across the polished marble tiles, shoulders squared, her stride radiating purpose. She is dressed in her committee uniform, blue linen pantsuit, pearls, and heels chosen for intimidation. She wouldn't, I whisper to myself, though I already know she would. This is exactly what she does. Is that your mom? Owen mutters, sinking into his chair. I rise before she can reach my desk, intercepting her by the water cooler. Mother, this is my workplace. And apparently the only place I can get your attention, she says, raising her voice just enough to make nearby colleagues pause their typing. Since you've ignored our calls and changed the locks without warning. The old version of me would have rushed her into the break room to stop the scene. Instead, calm settles over me like cool water. We can talk after work, I say evenly. I will meet you at Bayside Cafe at 5:30. Your sister is devastated, she presses. That venue was perfect. Do you understand what you've done? 5:30, I repeat more firmly. Or not at all. She blinks twice in disbelief before turning on her heel, her footsteps less commanding than when she entered. Owen lets out a low whistle as I sit back down. That was impressive. I am as startled as he is. That evening, I park outside Coral Gables, where my family has arranged what is clearly an intervention. Through the glass, I see them gathered at our usual corner table, my mother, my father, Lila, and to my surprise, Aunt Celia, whose disapproval has haunted me since childhood. "You don't have to walk in there," Tessa says from the passenger seat. She insisted on coming along, dubbing herself my boundary bodyguard. "Actually," I answer, feeling that same strange calm I do. Inside, Lila does not wait for me to sit. "My dream wedding is ruined," she declares, tears brimming on cue. The alternative venue is half the size and not even close to the beach. Adrian's family is starting to question everything. My father clears his throat. "Pumpkin, we understand you were surprised by the arrangements, but surely there is a way to compromise. After everything we have done for you." My mother adds quickly, her voice quivering just enough to sound pained. "I changed my whole career so you girls could have opportunities. I drove you to piano lessons for 8 years. Lessons I begged to quit after 3 months," I reply quietly. Aunt Celia leans forward, her expression severe. "Arden, in our family we support one another. Your grandfather would be ashamed of this selfishness." The name, Grandpa Walter, falls like a hammer, their final weapon. Even years after his death, his authority is unchallenged. I draw a long breath and look directly at my sister. "Name one time you asked permission before using my house." Lila falters. "What?" "Just once," I continue, my voice calm but unyielding. "One example when you called first, asked if I minded, and respected my answer." Her mouth opens and closes without sound. "Name one weekend when you left the place exactly as you found it," I press, turning toward my parents. "One visit when you didn't bring strangers I had never met. One time when you treated the house as my property instead of a communal vacation home." The silence stretches heavy across the table. "You can't," I say softly, "because it never happened." My mother recovers first. "This vindictive behavior is." Actually, Tessa cuts in, placing her phone on the table. "I have something you should see." She opens a calendar file. Arden made this request 7 months ago. Here are all the times she asked her family to call before coming over, 26 documented requests in 3 years. Owen had helped me compile the record last week, gathering messages and emails I had almost forgotten. Seeing the timeline of ignored boundaries had been startling even to me. My father shifts in his seat. "No one is denying there might have been some miscommunication." "It doesn't matter," I interrupt. "The house is already rented to Sandpiper Tours for the next 3 weekends, including Lila's wedding date. The contract is signed. The deposit is paid." Lila's tears vanish like smoke. "You what?" I slide a folder across the table. Inside is the rental contract, fully legal and binding. That night, I complete the final steps. The signed agreement with the tour company lies on my coffee table. A letter from my lawyer confirming my exclusive rights of ownership is prepared, ready to send if needed. The security cameras I installed yesterday are already streaming to my phone. As I prepare for bed, a message from Adrian arrives. "I respect the decision you've made, even if I cannot say so publicly right now. This was never right from the very beginning." For a fleeting moment, doubt slips in, am I being too harsh? But the memory of strangers rifling through my dresser drawers during last year's so-called small family gathering erases the thought. This is not about punishing them. It is about finally respecting myself. I think back to years of arriving home to find furniture shifted, belongings borrowed and never returned, and the constant disregard for my space. One night still stands out, the evening I walked in to find 16 strangers throwing a party, my personal photos passed around by people who did not even know my name. Always the same pattern. What belonged to me was treated as communal, but what belonged to them was kept exclusively theirs. For the first time since purchasing the beach house, the weight begins to lift. I finally feel like its true owner. Tomorrow will almost certainly bring fresh confrontations, more tears, more accusations. But tonight I know this is what freedom feels like. For the first time since discovering their secret wedding plans, I fall asleep without twisting in damp sheets of anxiety. The realization greets me with the morning light, Their reactions only prove that I am right. The house has always been mine and never theirs. The day before the wedding, despite my refusal at that family dinner, I sit in my parked car across the street, binoculars raised, and watch my family transform my property into Wedding Central. Just as I predicted, Lila commands the center of the backyard, clipboard raised like a director on a film set. She shouts at two men struggling with the wooden arch, demanding it be centered perfectly with the ocean view, then insists the chairs must form a graceful curve instead of rigid rows. Nearby, my mother kneels in the garden beds, carefully arranging white roses and baby's breath in the stone planters. From the way her lips move, she is probably whispering to the flowers, retelling stories from her own wedding more than 35 years ago. My father trails behind the caterer, nodding distractedly, glancing at his watch every few minutes. I glance at mine as well. 3, 2, 1. Right on cue, a white van bearing the logo Coastal Florida Tours rolls into the driveway, followed by 2 more vehicles. 7 uniformed staff step out with clipboards and equipment. Through my binoculars, I see the moment the confusion spreads across my family's faces. The tour manager, a tall woman with silver hair pinned in a bun, shakes Lila's hand. Even at this distance, Lila's stiffened posture is obvious, her head tilted in that telltale way that signals her plan is unraveling. I start my car but stay put. A text arrives from the tour manager. We have made contact. Contract presented as instructed. I picture her calmly handing Lila the legally binding document with my signature, confirming a corporate retreat beginning the next morning, with exclusive use of the property through the entire weekend. My phone lights up with call after call, my mother, my father, my mother again, then Lila. I let them all go unanswered. This was orchestrated carefully, and I will not disrupt it by engaging too early. Across the street, 3 more cars arrive, likely early wedding guests. My father hurries to intercept them, his arms waving in frantic explanation. One woman lifts her hands to her face in visible shock. When Lila calls for the 6th time, I finally answer. What did you do? She demands, her voice cracking with fury. Hello to you too, I reply evenly. There are people here saying they have a contract. For a tour group. Tomorrow. At your house. My wedding is tomorrow. My house, I correct gently, not your venue. This is your house, she shrieks. You can tell them to leave. You never asked me, Lila, I say, the words flowing easily, rehearsed 100 times in my head. I bought the house with my money. I maintain it with my money. And I chose to rent it out. You knew about the wedding. Everyone knew, she insists. You just assumed. Everyone assumed. No one asked. And when you assume, this is the result. You should have asked. Her panic sharpens. You have to fix this. Call them off. The house is not available. Not tomorrow. Not for the weekend. I end the call. Through my binoculars, I watch the chaos build, my mother frantically scrolling her phone, likely contacting every venue within 50 miles, my father corralling bewildered guests back to their cars, Lila locked in a heated argument with the wedding planner, her arms slicing the air. Within the hour, my social media notifications begin to flash. Posts from relatives shift from excitement about a beachfront wedding to uncertainty about venue complications. A cousin writes, "Does anyone know what happened with the generous sister's offer?" 20 minutes later, Adrian calls. His voice is steady, measured. Arden, I want you to know I never felt comfortable using your house without permission. Thank you for making that clear. I appreciate you saying that, I answer. My parents have offered their backyard, he continues. It won't be the beach, but we can adjust. And I understand why you did this. Not long after, an unexpected text arrives from Aunt Nadine. I always thought it strange they used your house without asking. Standing your ground takes courage. Meanwhile, the tour company staff continues setting up. Rows of beach chairs face the ocean. Informational signs about local marine life are mounted. A registration table takes shape on the front porch. I finally put down the binoculars and drive away, leaving the house to be used as intended by consent, with respect, with boundaries intact. For the first time in years, something unfamiliar expands in my chest. It feels strikingly like freedom. 3 days later, just as I am organizing the last of my paperwork, the doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see my parents standing side by side, their bodies rigid with indignation. I take a deep breath, slip the final photograph into its folder, and open the door. Arden Elise Whitaker, my mother says, her voice caught between fury and tears. How could you humiliate your sister like this? Her wedding is in ruins. My father lingers just behind her, his expression radiating disappointment, as if it were heat. After everything we've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay us? By destroying Lila's special day. I step back, gesturing toward the living room. Would you like to come in? Their hesitation lasts only a moment, surprise flickering at my calm demeanor. They had expected tears or defensive anger, my old patterns. Instead, I lead them to the couch, where 3 glasses of water already sit on coasters. I had been anticipating this visit for days. You need to fix this, my mother begins again, her voice gathering strength as she settles into the cushions. At the very least, you owe a public apology. And you should contribute toward the cost of the new venue. Adrian's parents' backyard was barely acceptable. My father leans forward, softening his tone into the reasonable cadence he uses in business meetings. Sweetheart, everyone makes mistakes, but this is family. If you don't make amends, I'm afraid you'll find yourself cut off from. I've prepared something I want you to see, I interrupt, sliding a thick blue folder across the coffee table. My mother eyes it warily. What's this supposed to be? Documentation, I reply, flipping it open. 5 years of boundary violations at my beach house. Organized chronologically. Their expressions shift from righteous anger to confusion as I begin to lay out the evidence. Photographs of wine stains on my grandmother's quilt after an unauthorized gathering that left 17 empty bottles. Cigarette burns scarring the deck furniture courtesy of my cousin's friends. Muddy paw prints ground into my white bedroom carpet by someone's dog. I've kept quiet for too long, I continue, my voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. Every time I asked for respect, I was dismissed. Every boundary I tried to set, you crossed. My father squirms in his seat. That's just normal wear and tear. This isn't normal, I counter, pulling out a stack of receipts. These are the repair costs. Look at the signatures. All mine. I've never asked a single one of you to pay a dime. My mother's cheeks flush. We're family. We shouldn't need formal invitations or... Family respects each other, I cut in, my tone calm but firm. The house is mine. My name is on the deed. I paid every cent. The mortgage, the insurance, the maintenance, all me. You had no right to, my father begins. I had every right, I answer sharply, tapping the deed. And just as much right to rent it to the tour company. Their eyes widen as I pull up my phone and show them security footage from 3 months earlier. My mother leading 6 strangers through my bedroom, drawers open, while she proudly displayed our family beach house. This is private property, I say evenly. Not a family timeshare. I place Lila's wedding invitation on top of the pile. And this was planned entirely without my knowledge or consent. My mother's hands tremble slightly as she picks up the embossed card. For the first time, I see uncertainty soften her eyes. If you want a relationship with me going forward, I say, pulling out a single sheet of paper, these are the terms. No visits without explicit permission. Advance notice is required, and confirmation from me. All spare keys must be returned immediately. My father's face hardens. You can't dictate. I can, I say, holding his gaze. And I am. These are not requests. They are requirements. The silence is thick between us. My mother studies the spread of evidence, the physical weight of years of disregard. Finally, she whispers, I never saw it from your side before. Something genuine breaks through her defensive shell. My father rubs his face, looking suddenly older. We didn't think. It wasn't our intention. Intent does not erase impact, I reply, gathering the papers back into the folder. I love you both, but I will not compromise on this anymore. The shift in power is unmistakable. Their usual tactics, the guilt, the tears, the threats, lie powerless in the space between us. My father reaches into his pocket and sets a key on the table. My mother hesitates, then adds hers beside it. Lila has one too, She admits quietly. I'll get it from her, I say. She won't take this well, my father warns. That isn't my responsibility, I answer. At the door, my mother pauses. Will you come to Sunday dinner next week? I meet her gaze steadily. I'll let you know by Thursday if I'm available. Something passes between us, a quiet, new understanding. She nods once before leaving. After they go, I stand in the silence of my apartment, my pulse racing not with fear but with an unfamiliar lightness. For the first time in years, I feel their expectations sliding off my shoulders. I pick up the keys they surrendered, symbols of boundaries finally acknowledged, and tuck them into my desk drawer. The fight with Lila is still ahead, but right now I know I have reclaimed something vital. My house. My boundaries. My life. The early sunlight spills across the deck as I sink into the porch swing, a warm mug of coffee cradled in my hands. 6 months have passed since the wedding debacle, and my beach house finally feels like it truly belongs to me. No surprise visits. No furniture moved around without my consent. No texts apologizing for borrowing the place for the weekend. I run my fingers along the new teal cushions I chose just last month, their soft fabric reminding me of the ocean at midday. The bookshelves I installed now hold only my favorite novels, replacing the pile of Lila's abandoned magazines. Wind chimes sway gently in the corner of the porch, their soft tinkling now the sound of peace. This is what home is meant to feel like, I whisper, watching 2 sandpipers dance along the edge of the shore. My phone buzzes with a text from Owen at work. Congrats again on the promotion. The bank is lucky to have you running the commercial loan division. That promotion came after I stood up for myself, pitching my restructuring plan in front of the executives instead of allowing the vice president to claim credit. Something inside me shifted that day. When I said, actually, I developed this strategy and would like to present it myself, the confidence that had grown from standing up to my family spilled over into every part of my life. Last Saturday, I had dinner with my parents for the first time in months. At first the conversation felt awkward, but they respected the rules I had set. My father asked before pouring himself more water. My mother called yesterday to thank me for joining them, instead of simply assuming I would be available again. Some relatives still don't understand. Aunt Colette insists I'm holding a grudge, while Uncle Marcus maintains that family should always have unlimited access to one another's homes. I've accepted not everyone will adapt to this new reality. Surprisingly, Adrian calls every so often. After marrying Lila in his parents' garden, a ceremony that turned out beautifully despite the last-minute changes, he has shown a real interest in keeping things respectful. Your sister is learning, he told me last week. Slowly, but she is trying. The doorbell rings at exactly 11 o'clock. Lila stands on the porch, hands clasped nervously. Thank you for letting me visit, she says, waiting for me to invite her in. I lead her into the kitchen, where a simple lunch is ready. Her eyes linger on the rearranged family photographs, still present, but no longer overwhelming the space. I like what you've done with the house, she says softly, settling into the chair I motion toward. Our talk drifts over safe topics until she finally admits, I never thought about how we treated your house before. I just assumed. That it was partly yours? I finish for her. She nods, lowering her gaze to her plate. I'm sorry. The words hang fragile in the air, but they are genuine. By 4 o'clock, she checks her watch and stands. I should go. Thank you for respecting my time, I reply, walking her to the door. Her smile is tentative but real. This was nice. Maybe we can do it again. I'd like that, I answer, surprised to realize I truly mean it. Later, I sit on the deck with Tessa and 2 new friends from my pottery class, pouring wine into mismatched glasses. We laugh as the sun dips lower, the sky glowing with streaks of orange and pink. My phone lights up Lila's message. Thanks for having me today. Looking forward to next time, with permission, of course. I smile, set the phone aside, and turn back to the laughter around me. The boundaries I once feared would isolate me have instead expanded my world, allowing relationships rooted in respect rather than obligation. The ocean breeze drifts across the deck, carrying with it the scent of salt and possibility. For the first time in years, I feel completely at home in my own life.